Linden, Linden.
Yeah, yeah.
Linden. Y'all something so. What's up, call? Sorry, control. Linden. All right. You now sounded as though you are here. Please take your seat. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, Mr. Dominic Henry. Let me begin by acknowledging the man of God in our presence,
Yes.
who brought such a sterling message and timely message to us this morning, the Reverend Selwyn Sellis. Sellis. Minister Annette Ferguson, Vice Chairperson of the People's National Congress Reform. Minister Amna Ali, General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform. Chairperson, Regional Chairman of Linden, Mr. Rennis Morian. Mr. Jermaine Figuera, Honorable Member of Parliament. Her Worship the Mayor of Linden, Ms. Monica Arundel. Chairpersons and Vice Chairpersons of the Arms of the People's National Congress Reform, the Women's Arm, the National Congress of Women, and the Youth Arm, the Guyana Youth and Student Movement. Fellow ministers, councillors of the RDC and NDC, comrades, supporters, special invitees, the media, and the PPP. Good morning. Comrades, it is an honor and certainly a privilege for me to stand here in the township of Linden to celebrate with you, my comrades, the 62nd anniversary celebration of this great party, a party who puts God first. I talk of none other than the People's National Congress Reform. You see, comrades, Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 18 reminds us to give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus. Comrades of the Linden community and its environs, comrades from all the 9 other administrative regions of our beloved country, comrades all, what a glorious and historic day this 5th day of October is for us. Let us raise our hands in praise and thanks to the Almighty, and in unison, let us repeat, comrades, ferociously as we can. Let us say, to God be the glory for great things He has done. Yes, comrades, we want to give thanks with a grateful heart for this auspicious day. Some 62 years ago, when our nation witnessed on October 5th, 1957, the historic birth of a political party that has grown in stature and resilience to position Guyana, and not just in any position, comrades, but to position her solidly on the international map, mobilizing astutely and with vision to change the trajectory of the country on the path of socio-economic, cultural, and democratic magnitude. Only the People's National Congress Reform, comrades, can dream, think, and execute such a task. Comrades, let us reflect for a moment on the genesis of this party. Some of us here today, if not most of us, would not have been around at that time, but I want to sketch the scenario so that you can fully appreciate where it all began, and the tremendous efforts that have been inputted to sustain it over the years. This is not a fly-by-night party, my comrades. Brothers and sisters, our party emerged at a critical time in our country's history, when leadership was an imperative in our nation. It originated as a working class party out of fierce struggle and protest against colonialism and imperialism, to fight for national independence and self-government. It was fashioned as a democratic organization, firmly anchored in the belief that all persons are entitled to live a full, productive, and happy life, regardless of ethnic origin, cultural background, geographic location, or religious persuasion. It opposed all forms of racism, discrimination, intolerance, and oppression. We must never go back there, comrades. Yes, we are talking about the birth of the People's National Congress, established by our late founder leader, Linden Forbes Sampson Burnham, whose vision and leadership won us the battle for political independence from the British colonial power on May 26, 1966, and paved the way for Republican status on February 23, 1970. Fellow comrades, this is the historic moment when you achieve the status here in Linden as a township. Prior to this, you were Wisma, Christianburg, and Mackenzie. And I stand here today proud to say that it was your decision to name the town Linden after the first executive president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, none other, comrades, than Linden Forbes Sampson Burnham. Comrades, great is our Lord, and his name is greatly to be praised. For he is abundant in power. His understanding is beyond measure. Through his awesome grace and providence, the freedom that we Guyanese enjoy today was earned by the sacrifices of visionaries, patriots, and freedom fighters, such as Linden Forbes Sampson Burnham, Hugh Desmond Hoyt, Robert H.O. Corbin, and now championed by the leader of the party, none other, comrade, than His Excellency David Arthur Granger. They, among many others, have all been inspired and have guided the party through overwhelming odds and challenges, so that we, as proud comrades of the People's National Congress reform, can assemble here 62 years later, still PNCR. And the next 62, we will still be PNCR, comrades. And so, comrades, we must hold that line of battle with our arms linked in unity, stronger and ready to charge the forces of the haughty enemy. As a result of their yeoman service, we must never let our founders down. But I wish to shift the focus for a few minutes and to acknowledge with deep appreciation and pride the integral committed and supportive role that you Lindeners have played in sustaining the life of our party. We are indebted to you. You who have never given up fighting for the cause. We must pay homage to the many activists who have left an indelible mark, upholding and transforming the vision of the party into action from those days when ordinary people were not allowed into South Linden, that place called Watuka. Watuka was taboo, the hallowed ground for servants only to tread. We cannot forget the great contribution of stalwarts such as L.C. McCalmont, whose Congress purse always had to be the largest. Roy Marshall, a.k.a. Babu, Hugh Harris, Maisie Barr, among others. George Marshall and Yvonne Haywood Ben are still around. And you know what? Despite age, they are still carrying the torch and rallying to the PNCR. Comrades, everywhere you turn, you can see the imprint of our party. They said, those who have eyes to see, let them see. I point them to the Linden-Soesdijk Highway, bridging the capital and replacing the long hours on the Son Chapman Launch, where many valuable lives were lost. The Mackenzie Wisma Bridge, built in the late 1960s to link the two communities. The Wisrock Housing Scheme, also, where our women from this community participated in building and laying blocks through self-help work. Self-reliance was an overarching strategy employed by the early PNCR administration, which saw the emergence of the FCH program, ably executed by the women's arm of the party. At that time, it was WRSM. And I know you're asking, what is she talking about, FCH? Comrades, I speak of Feed, Clothe, and House Ourselves program, which made Guyanese more aware of the many God-given gifts abounding in our country. In addition, the Guyana National Service was established, whereby thousands of our out-of-school youths were housed and given life skills to empower them to make meaningful contributions to the country's development. Comrades, the party has always embraced partnerships. And in 2015, along with other political groups, merged to form the government of today, which continues to adopt the strategies implemented by our founding leaders. In the field of education, quality education was made available to all the children of Guyana. Remember that? Yes. It was our party who gave us free education for all of our children. This reflected Burnham's vision on education as the chief cornerstone for socio-economic empowerment. Also, he identified the cooperative as the vehicle for making the small man a real man, deepening the democratic process by the reintroduction of local government elections and the establishment of 4 towns as well as new NDCs. bridging the hinterland or coastal gap with ITC hubs and hinterland radio stations. Decentralization of vital services to the people, such as potable water, public health, birth certificates, and passports. My brothers and sisters, the die is now in our hands. You, the members of this great party, and you may ask, why is that so? And I say to you, because March 2nd, 2020 will be the day when David fights the battle with the Goliaths of Guyana. First Peter chapter 5 verses 8 to 9 reminds us, be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. They devoured one on the 21st of December 2018. Let us tell them there are no others for devouring, comrades. Right. Let us send a strong message, comrades. Comrades, even as I remind you, I must also remind you that David defeated Goliath. Our leader is a man empowered by God. And he kneels before the Lord so that he can stand before the Goliaths of Guyana. We, the members of this party, will put on the whole armor of God. Not a part, not a piece, but the whole armor. And being cognizant that David is God's chosen and anointed one, he will be his shield and his buckler. Lindeners, you have stood the test of time. You must never forget that it was this great party, the People's National Congress Reform, that stood through thick and thin at your sides, and so did you. You did it before, and so we are counting on you to do even better to bring home the prize in 2020. The songwriter tells us that the church is one foundation, and we are standing on the promises of God that he will never leave us nor forsake us. And so, you Lindeners, I call upon you. I call upon you Lindeners to stand resolutely with our leader and our party and our colleagues, and let us all bring home the victory, comrades. Comrades, our leader, the resourceful David Agile Granger, on claiming the victory, will continue to execute his decade of development strategy, focusing on education, which will eventually provide that better life for all Guyanese, comrades. Not just some, but for all Guyanese. And so, as our battle song reminds us, that we must not be laid back and take things for granted. The well-known adage also reminds us that God helps those who help themselves. Comrades, let us make no mistake. Oil is real. Oil is here. The revenues are enormous. Persons are salivating. persons want to put their sticky fingers on those revenues. Comrades, the Bible also tells us that prayer without works is dead. And so I wish to remind you that the stakes are high. So as we rally our troops, let us be reminded of the words of our party's battle song, which says, black and green with red and palm tree, freely flies our freedom flag. Rouse the lazy and the sluggard that would let it droop and drag. Rally from the coast and borders, field and office, factory. Brother, sister, friend and comrade, rally to the PNC. Comrades, let us fight the good fight with all our might. We know that God is our strength and our might. Let us take hold on life, and it shall be the joy and crown eternally. I didn't say that. It was Timothy in 1 Timothy 6:12. Lindeners, we have not forgotten your struggles under the previous administration.
Thank you.
You must never go back to the dark ages. And the only way we can ensure that there is no recurrence of those dark days is that you re-elect none other than David Arthur as President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. I can assure you, my brothers and sisters, that we will continue on the path of development for Linden. Not only to return her to her former glory, but to modernize and develop a Linden as well as the 10 administrative regions in Guyana, the other 9. Do you remember when people from Berbice, Essequibo, and Demerara came to Linden in search of jobs and made Linden their homes? Were employed at the Demerara Bauxite Company? Linden then was the thriving hub of activities. Men and women from all walks of life came and settled here. Even my parents came from the islands to settle here in Linden. This can only happen again, comrades. Some people want me to say where, if, but I want to say when the APNU, AFC government returns to office. The Granger-led administration is a government for all people, as was Linden Forbes Samson Burnham, who in 1964 said, and I quote, "This government holds that all people of this country are equally important, whether they belong to a large group or a small group. To us, the Amerindians are important. To us, the Chinese are important. To us, the Portuguese are important. To us, the Europeans are important. To us, the mixed races are important. To us, the Africans and the Indians are important." End of quote. Comrades, the decade of development espoused by His Excellency seeks to create a framework for spiritual upliftment, equality of opportunity in the socio-economic political life of the country, creation of opportunities for youth to be meaningfully involved in the decision making, to uphold the rights of our indigenous people. Institutions, cultures, and traditions must be maintained. And above all, comrades, peace and stability must be the order of the day as we work towards social cohesion. Let us all together work for our party's continued resilience, dedication to nationhood, and our unwavering tenacity in building a nation. Comrades, as I take my leave, may I remind you that we must never go backwards.
All right.
Let us continue to move forward. Let us ignite. Let us set ablaze. Let us work tirelessly with determined resolve, united, resolute, and strong under the People's National Congress reform. Long live the people